So the tradition of marriage was the man making more than the woman. And now that we have entered the age of Aquarius, a lot of cultures, some cultures don't follow that, but Christian cultures often tend to follow. I know very few Christian couples that the woman makes more than the man. And now hi everyone, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Hailey. So grateful to have you all. Let's get into this reading. I'm really excited to be doing this. I'm actually doing a couples update. I haven't done one in a while, so this will be exciting to do. Please like the video, share the video, and comment and subscribe. Please make sure you're subscribed. It really helps me. I see some of you that have been around for a long time that still unsubscribed because you don't have the little button next to your name with the YouTube button. Please subscribe. It really helps me out. Okay, so I'm doing two couples. I'm doing Justin and Hailey Bieber, and then I'm going to do Jada, Pinkett Smith, and Will Smith. So first, I'm going to start with the good tarot. I always say this is intuitive based, not fact based. So please don't get stuck. Energy and facts are two different things. I'm usually accurate, but it doesn't mean I'll be accurate here. Okay, so the bottom of the deck I got was 4 of Wands, which is very interesting. Because I've said this before, and I don't want to be a doomsday type of person about anybody's relationship. I think that Hailey attracted Justin from her insecure self. You know, when you're in your 20s, you don't know a lot about life. It's just playing. You know, I equate my 20s to when I was under, you know, when you're in water and you go down, you come back up. You're like, down, back up. That's how I felt about my 20s. I was also living in New York for my 20s, so maybe that was why it was harder, because New York can be very grind energy. But I loved my 20s, but I just felt like I was constantly struggling, and most of it was because I didn't know a lot about life. I could know it in my mind, but practicing it was different, because there's a certain sense of strength that comes with practice, you know, and we are in this life to practice whatever we're practicing at that time. So with that being said, I think unless there's when you're in Hollywood, I don't think you should get married in your 20s. I just don't. I think it's a recipe for disaster, especially because everybody has their eye on you. I think that there was a lot of external pressure also with the church and all that kind of stuff to marry one another. And I feel extremely, I don't want to say I feel bad for their child, because most of us come from dysfunction, unfortunately. But I do wish that we could, especially our generation, the millennial, Gen Z, we can look at the failures of the boomers, the Gen X, and learn and do better. Not succumb to societal pressure, not succumb to religious pressure, because I see it a lot, especially when it comes to religion. There's a lot of religious pressure to do certain things by a certain age, and nobody else has to live with those consequences but you. So with 8 of Cups, I see them putting on a show of like everything's fine, and you can clearly see, in my opinion, you can clearly see that he's struggling with something. Ace of Cups, Queen of Earth, and I think what he's struggling with is that she is making money. She seems very happy with the money she's making. She might be celebrating. You know, she did sell her road skincare for, I think they said $500 million or something like that, an exorbitant amount of money. And I've said this before about Sun and Pisces men that I've encountered. They like to act like they are happy with an independent woman, that they can handle an independent woman, but they really can't. You know, Pisces is the oldest zodiac of the zodiac signs, and with that comes tradition. You know, Pisces, if you go back and you look at astrology, one of my mentors speaks about this. His name's Santos Bonacci. He speaks about how, you know, now we're in the age of Aquarius. We entered 12 to something years ago. It depends on the astrology you speak to, but I believe 12 years ago. And before that, we're in the era of Pisces, age of Pisces, for over 2,000 years. Pisces is Jesus. represent, it's a long story. But with the Pisces age came tradition, strong tradition. And it seems weird to believe, but a lot of Pisces, they like tradition, they like things to stay how they are, they like institutions, they like community. Pisces are fish, they stick together. And the problem with a lot of communities is that if there's an outsider, you're forced to be pulled in. You're not really allowed to be your own person. And it might sound like I'm going on a tangent, but this comes back to what I believe Justin is struggling with. And I'll go through it when I do an update about Justin too. But I think this relationship was based on his tradition. Very tradition based, which is what happens to a lot of Pisces men. Which is why they end up leaving relationships in such an abrupt way, or isolating the person. Because internally they're struggling. And that's something I had to realize about a Pisces man I dated. So I would question myself, like, what did I do wrong? What happened? And if I confronted him about something, he would be very blasé, wishy-washy. And I had to accept that he was going through his own issues. He was going through inner turmoil. The fight of, it is two fish, the sign of Pisces, two fish at each other. He was going through, do I break tradition or do I stay in tradition? And that's what I see with Justin. Which is probably why he doesn't speak about what happened to him, what people speculate about what happened to him when he was a kid, because he doesn't want to break tradition. Tradition is secrets. Tradition is, I hold it in. Tradition is, I sacrifice myself. That's why a lot of Pisces are martyrs. So the tradition of marriage was the man making more than the woman. And now that we have entered the age of Aquarius, a lot of cultures, some cultures don't follow that, but Christian cultures often tend to follow. I know very few Christian couples that the woman makes more than the man. And now he's going to feel it. He feels it very strongly. 5 of Wands, 3 of Swords, and Queen of Swords. He doesn't recognize who he married because she surpassed him. She was too premature in marrying him, and maybe she did it for her benefit, but she was too premature in her marrying him. And I don't want to say coulda, woulda, shoulda. I just believe we can all learn from situations like this. But I strongly see that, especially with Messenger of Fire, they are so not even. That's why I say people in Hollywood. Most people, I do not believe should get married in their 20s unless you know for sure. But especially people in Hollywood, because this division, she feels like he doesn't know me, I don't know him. They're strangers to one another, in my opinion. Well, energetically, that's what I pick up on. Okay, so please let me know what you think about that. I'd love to hear your commentary. Please be respectful. They are people, okay? I don't want to see any nasty comments about Justin or Hailey. Even though I'm not crazy about them, they don't deserve to be disrespected. Okie dokie, so this is Will and Jada Smith. I'm using the Pinkett Soleil Tarot. And let's get into it. So there's been a lot of rumors here for years about them getting divorced. I have predicted this for many years. I said that when I see them, what's going to prompt their divorce is that he's going to meet somebody younger and marry her. And obviously you can't marry 2 people in the USA, so it's against the law. So he's going to divorce Jada. I think they already are separate. I was accurate about that. It came out. I've said this for years. Since I started the channel, I said for years, don't think they live in the same house. I think that they have like an agreement type, which a lot of Hollywood couples do. I have heard stories from people who have dated certain celebrities that claim to be in relationships online, but you'd be surprised that they actually have a girlfriend or boyfriend, no judgment, on the side. So with 6 of Swords, 9 of Swords, and 2 of Swords, I see very strongly that there's a lot of tension. She is a Virgo, Jada is a Virgo, and Will Smith is a Libra. I think that's a horrible combination. I would never, ever, ever You can correct me in the comment section if you have experienced a good situation where a Libra and a Virgo get married. But it's an absolute, I would not recommend it at all, because Virgos tend to be, I love Virgos, and it's not about me, but what I appreciate about Virgos is that they're very direct most of the time. You'll never have to question where you stand with a Virgo. Libras are not very much like that. They tend to be swayed with public opinion. That's why I'm surprised they've stayed married this long. But I think one of you wrote in the comments after I did the video when I said I don't see them getting divorced until he meets somebody else. Libras need backing about something big they're about to do. They need to be supported because a lot of Libras struggle with being confrontational. So they need somebody behind them, you know, or they need a group behind them. They can't, which Virgos are very different at that. I love Virgos. Virgo is one of my favorite signs. And so that's why I'm surprised, because she has received so much public backlash that they've stayed together. But it's also why I think we see sometimes she does a video of him and he makes himself the victim, because Libras are great at doing that. They're great at giving subtle messages to make it seem like they are being wronged, you know. And especially if they can't outwardly say it, they're very good at being passive aggressive in the way that they deal with situations. It's not helpful at all, but it's how they deal with things. So with the Temperance at the bottom of the deck, this woman that I see him meeting might be a Sagittarius. Libra and Sagittarius, I recommend that they go together, but Virgo and Libras is a no-no. So let's see. So like I said, I see him meeting a woman, and even though I do believe, this is my intuition based formed opinion, I do believe that there have been other women that he has had on the side, and it's not really on the side because Jada has known. That's what I believe. But this woman is going to demand that she is put first, and it's going to be a big change up because he's actually going to do it. So with 8 of Wands, the Devil, and 5 of Wands, he's going to have to look at himself, which is very, Libras having to look at themselves, like, shocking. Very shocking, because a lot of them don't do it. They like to hide behind other people. But he's going to have to look at himself and face himself. This new woman is going to force him to do that, and he's not ready for the truth of what she's going to tell him. But that truth is going to bring him inner peace, and that's why he loves her, because she keeps it 100. You could tell this new woman, she doesn't really want a lot from him. She just wants to love him, and he's going to really appreciate that. So I can't give you a specific timeline because it's actually gone on longer than I thought of when the divorce will be, but I do see a divorce, and he's going to meet that person. Like I said, a lot of Libras, they need backing before they can bring forward an issue with someone. They need, like, you'll often see with a lot of Libras, if they have an issue with someone, they'll go to somebody else, go to a few people to make the person they're having an issue with the bad guy, so they don't feel bad being the bad guy themselves. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense. But I've experienced that a lot with Libras, that they to make themselves better about being confrontational, they don't like conflict, so they make the other person out to be bad so that they can bring forward an issue. So they feel like, okay, I'm superior to this person, so that's why I can tell them, you know. So that's what I have for you guys. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.